Hey guys, so as we all know, there's a conversation going around the internet these days about is it Pokoli, and if he is guilty or not guilty and all of that. Now, before we get into it, let's just reintroduce certain boundaries because a lot of people don't get this. Now, it is not my place to come out and say if a man did something or didn't do that. That's where the police comes in. And let's not forget one very important thing: the way our justice system works in Nigeria is not the way it works outside. Here, literally, we have encouraged the culture of getting away with a lot of things because even the people in uniforms do not know how to set those lines between what is correct and what is incorrect. If a victim comes to the police over here, half the time you're going to get judged even by the female police because what they deem as normal isn't normal actually. But in other countries, they actually do know how to enforce their laws. So half the time, if you get arrested abroad, you did it half the time. But not saying that a lot of innocent people have not been put behind bars. But there are these lines being crossed, and let's please break them down. Now, before we even start laying the rules of what you shouldn't do as an individual, there's one part of this conversation that I find very annoying each time I hear it. When people come out to say, but where's your evidence though? Where's your evidence? Now, let's be real with ourselves. In certain situation, it will end up being he said, she said. Because if a person knew that on this specific date and on this specific time, I will go to this event and it will get me in a very vulnerable situation, imagine them pulling out their camera and preparing for that. Nobody does that. People just avoid the event. You cannot, when you're being abused or in a situation, say, oops, hold on, let me bring out my camera because I need evidence. Half the time the people who are being assaulted can only probably say, okay, maybe it was this race or the body weight or whatever the case might be. It's always a very tricky situation. So please, when we keep shouting, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Just always remember that when you're caught off guard, you're not going to be ready with your camera to film certain moments. Now, a lot of people have the luck that maybe if the assault happened on a major road, there are cameras, but in a place like Nigeria, for example, you're not gonna get that luxury. So it is up to the police system and the judges to figure out if you are guilty or not. And mind you, there are some cases that people pretend and they're very good at crying and exaggerating a story that innocent people do go to jail. But in general, the majority of cases actually do happen. I just watched a video of a woman going home, and in hot summer, there was a guy following her with gloves on. And if not that the woman was extremely loud and she had cameras, nobody will believe that story. But let's even get into the rule. Rule number one, and I say a lot of men are going to get into a lot of trouble because they do not understand real boundaries and real lines and when you cross them. If you happen to be with a woman who is interested in you, right? And she says, yeah, let's go boink it out. Let's go do all that. Now, when you get to that stage where you guys are about to, and for some strange reason, the woman changes her mind because she has the right to do so. Because think about it. For a man, he really doesn't care. He'll do whatever he has to do. But for a woman, there's so many things you have to think of. Is the guy safe? Oh my God, he wasn't tested. I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to get an STI. There are so many things. So half the time, even if you want to be intimate, you would cancel it out and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable. Let's do it. Or maybe the woman wanted something nice and tender and you become aggressive. To her brain is not calculating it properly. So she's like, you know what, stop. I don't want to. A woman saying no means no. A woman saying stop means stop. It doesn't mean keep pushing, keep trying harder, keep trying to persuade the woman, because that also could lead to coercion. Once you have tried to change how a person's brain functions to do what you want them to do, that is coercion, and you could get in trouble. Number two, if you are in a situation, in a club, at a party, and you see that a woman has consumed more substances, alcohol or something else, and she is not in her right state of mind, even when she says, you know what, let's get it bumping and grinding, please just stay away from that, because chances are that woman is going to wake up the very next day confused of the things that happened the night before, and it would automatically feel like you forced yourself on her, because at that moment, because she's under substances, she cannot properly say yes to anything. I know a lot of men will find it easy because it's like, this is easy for me, let me just do my thing, but that could land you in jail. So please be careful. You have to make sure a person is 100% into what you guys are doing. If not, it's a no. Another thing most people do, listen, you find a woman attractive, you can express that emotion to her, but please keep your hands to yourself, because there was a guy floating around making a video saying, oh, he called the girl into her room and started touching her face and saying how beautiful she was. That is no, no, no. Now, let's be clear. The act of abuse itself is when you penetrate either with hands or your equipment and all that. Now, touching a woman like this, that is not rape, right? It's not that, but it's also molestation. There are different ways it can be categorized. So please just keep your hands to yourself. What looks easy at the moment will land you in jail potentially. Now, this also goes for women, because a lot of women do not have boundaries because they think all men want certain behaviors and to be touched in inappropriate ways. Please hold your hands to yourself, because a lot of you will say, hey, but you're a man, you like it. No, keep your hands to yourself. Now, another conversation on the internet, because there was the girl, going back and forth. She happens to be a street walker, proudly so. That's her cup of tea, and a lot of men, especially here in Nigeria, say, oh, but if this is your work, then why are you bothered? I am sorry. In any country you go to in Europe, even if you're a street walker, as long as money has not exchanged hands, you have under no law or right to touch that individual. You cannot touch any female in the name of, oh, but this is your job. Even if she was with 100 people just minutes before, you cannot. You will land in jail. So this whole idea of trying to diminish someone's character because or think they deserve it, in Nigeria, even just wearing a short skirt is an abomination, apparently, because we don't have rights to do whatever we want to do. But let's even leave that one aside. Now, there's another thing which we heard, like, they said she was groped in her private zone. My dear, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. And it has happened to me before when I was just walking on the street with loose pants, long, and someone just did the yank in me. Now, you might think, oh, that's nothing. But trust me, the pressure in the way they grab sometimes could create damage. So please, that is unacceptable. Touching anybody in any zone at all, here or smacking the behind, that is an unacceptable behavior. Just because you think you can, you shouldn't do it. Now, also, women to women. You have this behavior when you're in the club and you're chilling and drinking with your girls and just having a good time, and you guys decide to start grabbing things because you think, oh, we're all women. That is uncomfortable. That is a disgusting behavior and should be abolished immediately, because what you think is cute to me isn't. That is straight harassment. And if you think women cannot harass each other, trust me, it happens a lot. So please, everybody just keep their hands to themselves. There's no reason why we cannot be like, hey, in the air instead of grabbing things. So remember, guys, if a woman says no, it means no. If a woman she's under something, just leave her alone. I know you need to find ways to deal with your conjugal, because I don't understand it. I would never understand it, why certain people would feel very comfortable taking advantage of a person just for their own pleasure. I don't get it. But if you like, keep playing. Most of you will end up in jail. And guess what? Eventually, our system in Nigeria will catch up to this and there will be strict rules. So please be guided. Keep your hands to yourself. A no is a no. Even if a woman is smiling with you, does not mean she means yes to something else. Even when a woman is maybe just doing the whole, that is different from intimacy. Some people just want to have the feeling of affection and don't want to go all the way. So if you like, don't have self-control, you're going to land in jail. As simple as that. And majority of you who travel out, you're going to learn long thing though. But anyways, ciao, ciao.